Little children like to do is cut things. They're going to find scissors around your house and they're going to want to cut something. So instead of watching them chop off their hair and having your beautiful little blonde girl come to you bald and looking like a little boy, we're going to teach them to cut properly. And usually the first cutting activity involves paper strips and safety scissors. Oh, I would say maybe 18 months old, 2 years old is when they like to start this activity, and it can go on forever for some children. And you just teach them to cut slowly and carefully into their little bowl here. You're not going to want to throw away the confetti that they're making. We're going to show you another purpose for that. And a variation on this is paper punching. They have to be a little older for this because their hands have to be stronger. Maybe 2.5, 3, 4. Love making confetti. Little children just, oops, that's upside down. Love making confetti. Once again, we want to save the confetti because another activity we're going to do that's free is teaching them how to sweep. See, they have their little pile of confetti that they just dumped out into their tray. And they take their little hand dustpan and sweep it up and pour it back into the bowl. These are all a lot of fun for little children. They're learning things. They're strengthening their hands, learning processes, learning how to be neat, learning how to do things in an orderly manner. And you're going to keep on adding different activities and giving little lessons to your little children so that they have something to occupy their time. This is something I've just started making. I only have this one made so far, so this is when they're about 3 years old. We start this. And this is really a writing activity. Now you would have a couple of these sound pouches, they're called, in your little tray. And you take it out, have the child sit next to you. You trace the letter. I like Danielian letters, and you say, ah. You do this 3 or 4 times. Ah. Then you say to the child, what's that? And they'll say, ah. And then you say, can you point to ah? And they'll point to ah. Would you like a turn? And when they say yes, and you give them a turn. Now this is a pouch because on the inside you'll have little items, mine is empty, that start with ah, like apple and acorn. Or you could have laminated pictures of these things if you don't have the money to buy little items. This is a really fun activity for little children. It's a precursor to phonics and learning how to write, but it's all very fun and no pressure involved at all. Of course, you realize when you show them this, then you put it back on the shelf, and they have a choice whether they want to do these things or not. This is a quite involved tray activity for a 5-year-old. Now you would already have a sample of what it could look like. Of course, we aren't ever forcing what our opinion should be on something. So we set our sample up there, and we take out our strip of paper. All of these things should be prepared ahead of time in your tray so that the child won't be frustrated with something missing. You're going to show them how to put the cookie cutter down on their paper and hold it like this so that it will be staying in the right place. Now I'm showing you rather quickly what to do, but if you had a little child, you would do this very, very slowly so that they see how to be careful. At this point, they're no longer using safety scissors at about 5. They know how to handle things. You teach them how, of course, how to be safe with their scissors. And they can cut things out really well because they do, oh, I forgot to show you something. So anyway, they spend some time cutting this out. Then they're going to make their decorations with something they've already done before. They're going to be punching some of these cute little things out, and they'll be punching them. You're going to show them how to glue using the scrap of the paper over there as their table guide, table guard. then they do these things. It's very fun. And then, of course, they can use a crayon to decorate with. So you have all of these things prepared ahead of time. So the child has these activities to do to keep them busy and learning while the other children are doing their schoolwork. One last thing that I'd really like to show you that I forgot to show you is they won't be able to cut out something like this unless you first taught them how to cut. And this is also a tray activity. You'd have your safety scissors and your papers in there. Of course, it's really inexpensive to buy construction paper. I one time bought a whole bunch of these cards and it was very expensive, something like $40 for a package of 20 things. When I opened it, I thought, how ridiculous that I bought that. I can make that myself. And the little package had these lines drawn on cards or construction paper, straight lines, narrower lines, zigzag lines, curvy lines, spirals, and different shapes on papers. And the children just love to do these activities. Now, I said before that you should probably get as many Montessori original materials as you can afford. Some people can't afford any of those things. There's a company called Doug and Melissa that has some fabulous puzzles and learning tools that are beautiful as well as functional and inexpensive. So you can look into those too. There are lots and lots of things that you can make to work with your little children, and you can find ideas in this book, Teaching Montessori in the Home, or Basic Montessori Learning Activities for Under 5s. And for little tiny children, Montessori from the Start, from birth to 3, has a lot of good ideas. And if you can find it, this really old book, The Montessori Manual, from Dorothy Canfield Fisher. She's the author of Understood Betsy. These are really great ideas. Okay, so now that you're done working on these things with your little people and your older children are done with school, you've got the afternoon to go outside. You might not have 5 or 6 hours, but you still have time outside. This is lots of quality time spent with your kids of all ages. Nobody's bothering each other. Everybody's having a great time. Thanks for listening. This is Catherine Lewis from MilestonesAcademy.com.